And you're live.
Hey, hey everyone! Welcome to our first live Q&A here at the BME Live.
Now I'm gonna
um,
share the link.
okay, yeah. So this is our first Q&A. We're almost at 500 subscribers, and yeah, it was kind of like an spontaneous decision to do this. It was very rushed, but there's really no planning that goes behind Q&As, I feel. So I thought I would just have this open platform to invite people to come over and ask questions because I'll get questions pretty often, usually on my Instagram, and they're usually very long questions. And I always read them and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm kind of too lazy to reply to this, but then I'm like, no, like this is my purpose. I have to answer these questions. And once I actually start answering, it becomes easier and it's always satisfying to, get a thank you and then like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You helped me so much and blah blah blah. So, yeah. So this is why we're doing this today. And I hope we get some live questions, but if we don't, we still have some saved from other comments or things like that.
You got a
Ooh.
hi, I love you.
Oh, it's Kothar.
Oh, Kothar.
I'm sorry. I'm like slaughtering your name, but hi. Thank you so much for joining. We haven't talked in like forever, but thank you so much for joining. And let me know if you have any questions. I mean, you're also a BME student, so I'm sure you're good. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I should have had prepared topics of conversation. That way I could ask the viewers things as well, not just them asking me things. Um,
But actually, now that Kothar is online, you should ask her how the coronavirus is going on because she's studying BME. Ask her where she's studying.
hey, Kosar, where were you studying BME again? Was it in Arabia or I forgot exactly where? But let me know because we're curious as to how the coronavirus is affecting other countries. Um, yeah, I remember we've talked. I remember. I don't forget it. Yeah, but here the coronavirus is still, I think, progressing. Oh, Iran. Okay, she studies in Iran. So, how is the coronavirus situation over there?
How's it affecting her school?
Because here, they actually, because we had spring break in the US this week, so we have this week off, like no school, and they actually extended our spring break to one more week. So next week there will be no classes again, but then after that, the classes will be online. So I think that's gonna last 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, there will be online classes, and I think that's just crazy because there aren't even any real cases here yet, but I think in the future, in the near future, there might be. So if they're already canceling classes and making them online, I wonder what kind of changes they're gonna make whenever it starts getting more serious. Oh, she has. They have been off 1 month. Wow. So does that mean no classes, or are you having online classes? Let me know. Meanwhile, Amirusa said, how did you decide you want to study BME? That's a good question. And I have a video that's not very good where I talk about that. But I think mostly, my parents had a lot of influence on me because they're doctors. So they were always in the medical field. So I always was exposed to the medical field and was interested in it. But I didn't want to necessarily become a doctor just because I didn't see myself like attending patients and doing surgeries and like having all these high stress situations where like someone's life depends on me. I just didn't see myself doing that. Also, I know my dad would spend a lot of time at the hospital and like would be home like barely. So I just always knew I wanted a family and I didn't want to be away from my family. So I didn't want to be a doctor because of that reason. But I always admired the field. I think it's very honorable. So, I was always good at math and science. And in high school, whenever I would do tests on what I'm supposed to do when I graduate, I always got the same. I think that's kind of like very right and left sided. So I guess I'm kind of like a combination somewhere in there. And I decided to give engineering a try because I always liked math, but I didn't want to do just math. So I gave engineering a try. I had signed up for mechanical engineering courses, but then I heard about biomedical engineering and I decided to give it a try because problem major that you can use to help other people, maybe indirectly, maybe directly, but in the end, you're helping better someone's life. And I think that's a really nice thing to have in a career. So, yep, that's why I decided to go into BME. Kosar said some of our teachers started teaching online, but I think we will study the rest of the classes on summer. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's really I think when I first heard that they canceled classes, I was really worried that because I'm graduating this semester, I was really worried that they would just like obsolete this semester and that we would have to repeat whenever it got better. So hopefully it doesn't get like that here. I know that there's probably going to be an outbreak in the following weeks and it's probably going to get crazy, but I really hope that we recover soon because I mean, I like the whole online classes thing. We do miss a lot from school, especially being an engineering major. Like, we had a lot of um, conferences lined up, and those were canceled because we can't have events anymore. So it's a little sad, but at the same time, a little nice that we get to be home and finish our degree home for at least 3 weeks. So yeah. When do you see yourself in a few years from a career
You
aspect?
should break the news.
Um, yeah, actually, I feel like a lot of people have been asking me this recently, especially in my class, my BME class, because we're all graduating and we're all looking for jobs and things like that, which I was looking for jobs, but I stopped because I made up my mind that, well, so I currently work at a startup company and it is a real startup. Like, it's the CTO, the CEO, and myself, plus all the consultants. So, yeah, it's really small and I've been there for a year now. I have loved it. I'm a product development intern, so there's this product that we're trying to develop, and I've gotten to learn about everything in the medical device that because it is a startup and like when you work at a startup you have to wear many hats, which is something you'll hear a lot if you ever work at a startup. So I've loved it so far, and they actually offered me a full-time position after I graduate. And today I basically said yes. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's good to finally. I haven't signed anything yet, but I kind of verbally signed my life to the company already. But no, it's been great. I love where I work. I love the people that I work with, and I love what we're trying to do. So yeah, I love that it gives me a lot of experience, very valuable experience, because I get to work like so closely to these, like, I know when people say startups, you usually think of young entrepreneurs that are trying to do something, but the founders of this company are actually people with 30 plus years of experience. So they know what they're doing, and they have so much experience in so many
Tell
areas.
them a little bit about that.
uh, but what?
Well, actually, before that, you should kind of answer her question, like, where do you see yourself a few years?
Okay, yeah, I guess I got a little off track, but where do I see myself in a few years?
By the way, thanks to the 7 people that are watching.
Oh yeah, thank you. I feel like you're interrupting. It sounds kind of rude. I don't
Sorry,
know, but you're like
sorry.
yelling. No,
Oh, sorry,
it's
I have my
okay. No,
headphones.
it's okay. He's not being rude. He just has headphones. I don't know if you guys can hear, but yeah, he's right. Thank you, 7 people that are watching. It means a lot. I was really afraid that there was not gonna be anyone. So thank you so much for joining us. So where do I see myself in? Does it give like a specific number? No, in a few years. Um, well, I see myself working at this startup company, and I want to be there until I bring this product to the market together with the other people. So that's going to be in at least 5 years, I would say. So, yeah, I would love to stay there for 5 years if I could. Obviously, startups, there's a high risk when it comes to startups. So, um, yeah, I can't be certain, and you can't be certain about your job in any company, even if it's the biggest healthcare company. But I see myself being there. I see myself doing what I do now, just at a um, bigger. I don't know how to say it, but just more intense, because I'll be an actual professional engineer. So yeah, I'm excited about being here, and when it comes to developing a product and putting it into the market, there's a lot of phases that your product has to go through. So for example, one of them is like doing clinical trials. So I hope to be exposed to those clinical trials, working with the surgeons and being exposed to surgeries, and just then getting the data, and then going back to regulatory, going back to verification and validation testing. Um, just, it's the beauty of how do I meet the customer requirements and bring this product to the market. Like, I'm really excited about that. Um, Nushik asked, "What course did you have the most difficulty with throughout your 4 years?" That's a hard question, because I feel like every time I have a hard course, I feel like that's the hardest course I've ever had. So I was actually talking to my friends the other day about taking hard courses, and then the next semester you kind of forget how hard they were. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard that people say that when you are pregnant and then you deliver a baby, it hurts a lot, right? Like, people say it hurts a lot, but supposedly there's like a chemical that your body releases so that you forget how painful it was when you delivered a baby. That way you can keep having more kids. Well, I feel like going to school is kind of the same thing, because you always go through all these hard classes and they feel so hard at the moment. And then you finish the semester and it's like, huh, that was nice, and like it's not that hard when you look back. But while you're at it, it just seems impossible. So just a fun thought that I had the other day. But the hardest classes that I've had, I mean, senior design is definitely challenging, but I honestly thought it was going to be much more demanding than it actually is. I think the key to senior design, which a lot of engineering majors have to go through, is finding the right team and working well together. So if you have a good team, you should be fine. But when it comes to other classes, I think the hardest classes, or some of my hardest, okay, the classes where I performed the worst, like I got C's in them, were calculus 2 and physics 1. And that was really because I wasn't studying the right way. And the material was really hard. So it was very challenging. So that's for like general engineering courses. But for BME, the hardest classes I've had, I think, would have to be biotransport and biocompatibility. However, I must say biocompatibility has been my most favorite class in the whole program, probably. So, just a little back, I guess, biocompatibility, we saw a lot of like the wound healing mechanisms of the body in a cellular level. So, like I already forgot the phases, but it's kind of like, um, yeah, I forgot. But it's very interesting, and we have to learn. And that class, all the tests were essay format, so it was very challenging to learn all these things and not know what questions you were going to be asked, and then you had to respond by writing. And then biotransport was just um like I guess it's kind of like thermodynamics and fluid dynamics and other engineerings, but for us it's applied on the body. So, for example, our problems would include like blood vessels and their flow rate, lungs and their flow rate, or if you found a dead body in the river and it was at this temperature, and then, yeah, I don't know. Uh, it was fun though.
Hey, so the is studying electronics important in
Yeah,
BME?
so Kosar asked if studying electronics is important in BME. Uh, well, it's a good question, but it's tough to answer because, okay, right now for my senior design project, we have a device that's very electronically based. So I wish that a lot of learning and the skills that you should have as an engineer, usually you have to learn them on your own. So
Do you have the little thing,
what thing?
the prototype?
No,
No. Darn.
you didn't. Um, and sorry, I got distracted. But it
Encourage them to drop more questions so you can answer.
well, I'm still trying to
Yeah.
answer this question. Um, but electronics, you would be an electrical engineer. I think when it comes to BME, you're like a jack of all trades, so you should know a little bit of everything, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. But it's really up to your interest and what kind of job you want to have. So if you're a BME and you see yourself working with electronics and going into a company as an electrical or like a biomedical slash electrical engineer, then you should have exposure to electronics. But there's a lot more than just electronics. And however, it is very important and it is a skill that I want to develop, and I actually got like an Arduino board and like wires and the soldering station because I do want to develop that skill. Personally, on my current job, there is electronics, but everything that I need to know, they teach me. And I think that's the way it's going to go whenever you enter the industry. Um, you have your degree, and at the end of the day, the engineering degree is trying to teach you how to the workforce, and like the company is going to teach you whatever they want to, you know whatever they want you to learn about their products. So yeah. um Amirusa said, how much biology does the course consist of, or is it mostly physics? um well, okay, I actually only took one biology and two physics, but then I also took cell biology. So, I mean, I want to say it's a mixture of every science, biology, chemistry, um, physics, but BME, it's more, it's biomedical. So the most important things, they're not really the most important, but it's good to know the anatomy and physiology of the body because you can learn more um about the different problems that there could be throughout the body, and maybe that could help you develop an interest for a specific area. So for example, cardiology, neurology, so I think the medical side is very important, but it really depends on what you want to do because some BMEs can um, go to research. So go to research labs and work with cells and factors and genes and proteins and things like that. So that's like very cellular and molecular level BME. Then there's the BMEs that work at hospitals. So that's where your anatomy and physiology come in hand because they work closely with doctors. And yeah, that's very important. But then there's the engineers that go into industry, and those, are mostly like, yeah, like physics, things like that. But honestly, at my job, there's a lot of business too. So it really, really depends on where you work. But to answer the question, I think there's a lot of biology, at least in the program at the school where I go. But I actually heard another school that BME is a concentration under the physics major. So there is a lot of physics, especially when you think about imaging technologies, kind of like ultrasound or like MRIs or CT scans. That's a lot of physics. So yeah, it really depends on what you want to do because BME is so broad. There's just so many different fields, and it really, really depends on what you want to do and what your interests are.
And you got a question from New Sheik.
Yeah. Okay. Do companies ask or care about GPA when applying for jobs? I'll be uploading a video soon on different study tips, and I actually talk about this. But I think really okay. So the one of my bosses is, has 30 years of experience, and some of that experience has been as a hiring manager. So he's actually had the resumes and like looked at them, and so he shared his thought process that goes behind hiring people experience in your college degree, because you showing that you care enough to get real world experience is more important than you staying at school 24/7 and getting a 4.0 GPA. Um so I think if, for example, you have someone with a 4.0 GPA and no experience, and then you have someone with a 3.3 and an industry experience, like an internship, then they'd probably choose the person in industry because at the end of the day, getting good grades, uh, it's not really worth it um, in the industry. Like, you don't, like, you, yeah, like, you're not gonna go study out of work. So good grades don't really mean anything because a lot of people can just copy and go through college like that. But you having an industry experience and being able to say, I did this, I learned this, I worked with a team, and I developed these skills. And then also creating connections with industry professionals is very valuable. So I think having internship experiences is way more important than a GPA. However, that does not mean that you shouldn't care about your GPA because it just doesn't look good if you have a very bad GPA because it kind of looks like you don't care about school. So you don't want to show that. You want to show that you tried. And then, yeah.
By the way, 10 people watching live. Thank you,
Wow.
everyone.
That's crazy. Thank you everyone for watching.
And New Sheik, because I can, yeah, New Sheik, that was a really good question. But Mary, actually, did you mention was GPA important when you applied to your internship?
Hmm. Well,
You want to just repeat my question real quick?
yeah, so agent just asked me if GPA was important when I entered my internship. And I wouldn't be able to answer that question because I don't know why they hire me. But I can say that one thing that had a big impact in me getting selected, at least I think, was my research experience and my letter of recommendation. Honestly, who you know and who recommends you is always going to be the most important part of
Network.
anything. Yeah, like my boss after that, every single job he had was because of a connection. Like, I know this guy, they're awesome. They want to work at your company. What can we do? And like you just people get hired like that more than because of having a 4.0. However, having a good GPA is good, especially when you're in like freshly starting college because you start applying to scholarships or internships or honors programs, and I think it does look better if you have a better GPA. So I would say focus on your GPA until you can get an internship. I'm not saying ditch your GPA after, but when you have an internship that's gonna look really good on you. But just try as hard as you can. Like I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but like um yeah, just by me saying internship or industry experience is more important, that doesn't mean, oh, I don't have to care about school, like whatever. And I feel like I don't want to think that people, because I think I've asked that before and it really comes from a good place, but we should just try our best whatever it is. So yep. Daryl Simon. Oh, I remember Daryl. He joined our Facebook group. If you guys haven't, you should join our Facebook group because I'd love to have these kind of conversations in the Facebook group. But Daryl asked, how important is being good at math and BME? It's very important. It's engineering at the end of the day, but it's not critical because there's other kinds of skills that go into engineering and BME. Um, for example, you may be really good at SolidWorks or like 3D modeling, 3D printing. You might be really good with electronics, like in electrical engineering. You might be very creative, or you might have an entrepreneurship mind. Um, so all those skills are is important as a student, but not really that important whenever you enter the industry. I think one of the main, um, how can I say, strengths that have been pointed out to me about myself is that I'm very detail oriented and a self starter. So, there's no, oh, you're very good at math. No, like at the end of the day, they're going to care about your work ethic and how much you care about the company. So, if they can see that you pay attention to detail, that you care about things being right, if they see that you're a self starter, that you're not slacking, and that you a genius in math. So, yeah. He said, "LOL, yes, you remembered." I don't know why people are surprised are surprised that I remember it. Like, yeah, I remember almost everyone. I think I remember everyone. I mean, we're just hitting 500 subscribers, so I think there's just the right amount of people
Ooh,
to remember.
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
How does it feel? Like, I mean, there's been a lot of support, and just like obviously, thank you to everyone watching right now, everyone who's stuck.
Wait,
You
I'm
know,
sorry. Can they hear you? Okay.
yeah, you should ask them um, to comment like how long, like, or since when they've been following along, and where they are in their BME career journey. Like,
Sure. Yeah, so the channel and where you are in your BME uh path, or no, not path, but journey, in your journey. Because I know some people, like Kosar, she is, I think, a junior. She's been in BME for a while now, and it's graduating soon. Then there's people that are like, oh, I'm in high school and I'm thinking about BME. So, and then there's other people that are like, oh, I was a BME and now I graduated, or I did medical school and now I'm thinking about BME. So I think there's a lot of different kinds of people in this community. And that's really awesome because, I'm just one person trying to tell the world about BME, but there's so many individuals following us that have so many different experiences. And I think just being able to listen to everyone's experience is very valuable because you just learn more and you learn about more things that you could do. And that's very important.
Sponsorship break. There's a couple
That's-
of pictures that I have uploaded that I'm gonna switch to.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Adrian wants me to show our merch. It's BME Live, available on any color. And yep, shout out to like a cool jacket or something to wear, like that says the BME Live. And yeah, so we're thinking of creating merch, but if you like the old one, here it is. Um, but yeah, let me know if you have any suggestions on this on Instagram. So I'm sorry. Back to Daryl's question. I English is not my second language, so sometimes it's in like automatic and sometimes it just doesn't work right. But Daryl asked, so have you always been detailed oriented or was it something you developed? Honestly, that's a hard question to ask because I don't think I had ever noticed until they told me. And whenever they told me, I was like, okay, I'm detail oriented. I'm gonna be better. So I guess it's a good thing about working, having experience in anything. Like even if you work at McDonald's, if you work at a clothing store, people, if you really try your best, people are going to see your strengths. And if you have a good person around you, they're going to tell you your strengths so that you know about them and that you keep working on them. So that's why it's really good to have experience.
You should talk
Um,
about how that was pointed out to you at the startup you're working at.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I said that, but that was pointed out at me in the startup that I worked at. And just because I'm detailed oriented, that doesn't mean everyone has to be detailed oriented, and that's the key to being a good employee. Like, no, I mean, it is a good strength. Any strength is good, but we're human, we're not perfect. So, and I think that's, in engineering, but I'm pretty sure in most industries, it's all about teamwork because no one is capable of doing everything. Like, no one is perfect at everything. We all have many different strengths and weaknesses. So, that's why it's good to have a diverse team. So, yeah, I might be detailed oriented, but if you're very good at, math, then maybe I can point out problems, but then you're going to be able to solve them, you know. Or you can be very good at, like I mentioned before, SolidWorks. So I might be taking care of this task that requires a lot of detail, but you'll be taking the drawings, like it's really, we all have given talents, and but we all can develop skills if we want to. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
I'm interested from the viewers watching, where do they aspire to work?
Yeah, so Adrian just asked for our 7 people watching, where do you guys hope to work? I mean, I guess we asked like in what part of their journey they are. Maybe some of them are still in high school or starting college. So I think that's a really hard question to answer sometimes, but sometimes people already know what they want to do. I personally had no idea because when I started in BME, I thought it was all about research labs. I thought I was going to be my whole life in a lab coat in a sterile room working with sales, which is it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot, but I think I enjoy the industry much better. But there's obviously all kinds of people and personalities, and some just go with others. So, yep.
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you want to ask? Oh, we have one more person joining because we're at 8 now. Oh, they Daryl said, so I happened to find your channel a couple of months ago. I was trying to find more information on biomedical engineering as my friend had recommended me to check it out. Oh, it because we asked, um,
Hmm.
remember, like how they found the
Oh
channel
yeah.
and how long they've been here. So 2 months. About it's cool. Thank you for sticking for 2 months. I know we haven't uploaded anything in like a month, so thank you.
So, in your opinion, is it better to work at a big biomedical company or a biomedical startup?
I'm just kidding.
I was like, what? In your opinion?
um, I mean, honestly, you can be as picky as you want, but I'm pretty sure when you're a senior in college, you're just gonna get whatever you can. Um, but for me personally, it's a very biased opinion because I've only worked at a startup. Um, but I love the startup feeling. I think there's pros and cons for any if you work at a startup or a big company. Because I was actually talking to the consultant at my job, and she was telling me how back at that bigger company, like $1 billion company where they worked, whenever they met with surgeons for clinical advisory meetings, they met surgeons in France, Italy, Spain, in Europe. They got to travel, and, that's amazing. And here, we just can't get that because we're not a multi-billion-dollar company. And, I'm pretty sure at bigger companies, it's nice to have your own office, your own cubicle. I have my own bench. My boss is right behind me watching me. I mean, he's not watching me, but he can see everything I do. Not that I would want to do anything that's not right, but it can be a little intimidating at first. And it's always nice to just say, "Oh, I have my own office." Like, come see my desk with my name. Like, that's something that I look forward to in the future, but right now they're all kind of like material things. And right now, to me, being at a startup is awesome because I get great learning experiences. It's a great
And
learning
also, you guys
experience.
just went to Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, we also got to travel. Like, we went to Dallas to a clinical advisory meeting for the first time to talk to the surgeons, which was really cool. And we'll also be starting clinical trials soon, and those will be held wherever the surgeons do their surgeries. So that means more travel. So we will get to travel, just not to France. But there, like I said, there's pros and cons to everything. It really depends on the company. I want to say maybe bigger companies have more employee benefits. I can't really talk about that because I don't know. Like, I don't really have any knowledge in that. But yeah, I think it really depends. I think as long as you do a good job, like, you'll enjoy wherever you go. But I can say one thing that that consultant told me, because she's actually right now working for us, the startup, and also working for a huge orthopedic company. So she was telling me, yeah, there's pros and cons to working for a startup and working for a bigger company. But uh, like, to be honest, she said, at startups, you're someone, like, you have value. In bigger companies, you're just they don't really care about you, and you can be replaceable. Which, I mean, I don't want to trash bigger companies because I want to work at a big company one day. Um, and that might be the experience that you might get sometimes. It's kind of like being a big fish in a small what is it, pond?
Yeah. Well,
Or no, a big fish in a small
are you talking about working at a big
pond.
company?
Uh-huh.
That would be more like
Or
being a small
no,
fish
I
in a
know.
big pond.
I know. I
Okay.
was going to say the other thing. Like, do you want to be a small fish in a big pond or a big fish at a small pond? But then there's a Mexican saying that says a good rooster can sing in any farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you're good, you're going to shine anywhere you go. So,
Kothar asked an awesome question, which is actually related to the consultant, Jen, right? She, you want to read first?
yeah, so Kothar asked, what do you think about medical device marketing? Is it a good business to start before having your own company and stuff like that? So Kothar sounds like she wants to have her own company one day. That's really good.
That's cool, Kothar. Entrepreneurship. Woo!
Well, marketing. George said hello. Hi, George.
And hi, Jermaine.
Huh?
Jermaine, you got 11 people.
Oh yeah. I just saw Jermaine. Um. Okay, sorry. Back to the question. So, like I mentioned, my boss started his own company. Um, I don't think he ever did a marketing role, but he did say that he's been through jobs and like he doesn't like getting a job that he already had before. So, for example, if you're working for a medical device company and you're a quality engineer, next time you apply for a job, like in 3 or 5 years, um, apply for another position. Even though you have experience in quality, I feel like a lot of people might think, oh, well, I'm good at quality. I'm going to stay in quality. But it's always good to go to another department so that you can have more exposure to other things and learn about all the different aspects of a company, because that is the only way that you're gonna have enough exposure to the things that you need to know for building a company. So yes, marketing is important, um, but I think there's a lot of other aspects that go into building a company. Marketing is a good one. I think getting exposure to the financial department is very important, because when you're starting a new company, it's a lot of relying on investors and funding from them. So you want to make sure that you know how to get the money, that you know how much money you need, that you know what you're going to give up for that money. Because obviously, if investors are giving you money, then that means you're probably going to give them some ownership of the company. Then it comes the, knowing how to handle teams, how to pick employees. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of different aspects on starting your own company. But if you're talking about starting